discussing here, so that we can get in as many questions as we can.
Ask you, because you might say that you are blocking other things that we heard from the previous.
If it is previous, then you can do it after. Then you
give that time to.
if it's previous, then you can do it after. But for now, let's just do this. Yeah, let's stick to this presentation.
Hello, Saints. Hello, Saints. Hello. Is everybody okay? I feel a little. Right, so this afternoon is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try and cover a couple of points, but like the last few days, I know that I'm not alone, and I know you guys have been supportive, and you've been asking good questions, lots of questions. So we're just because of time, we're just trying to follow a systematic format. I am going to get some of you to come up and help me, okay? Because I only have one hand, okay? So are there any medical missionaries in the house? Please raise your hands, all of you who are medical missionaries. Raise your hands if you're a medical missionary. Doesn't matter with your adornment or undercover. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half, 5, 6. Okay, who are not medical missionaries? Okay, right. Okay, so my aim today is I'm going to demonstrate how to make one of the products that I normally make, which is the mucus buster. It's called Breathe X, okay? Like inhale, breathe. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to go through the steps that I take to make the herbs, and then I'm going to talk you through what happens with the herbs once they go into the system. Now, in one of the poultices, I'm going to use something called DMSO. Hands up if you know what DMSO is. Hands. Okay, I see 1.5. I see, okay, so I see 2 halves over here that make 1. I see 1 hand over there, so that's 1.5 and another hand. Okay, so let me explain basically what DMSO is first. Okay, so DMSO is something called dimethyl sulfide or sulfoxide, and it's a powerful solvent which is known for its ability to penetrate the skin very deeply and effectively. Okay, it's very sensitive in terms of its ability to penetrate the skin. Please note that from the outset. Okay, now when we're using DMSO, it is very important that your hands are very clean or washed before you've handled it. Okay, if you're going to come into contact with it with your hand. If you're going to use any what you call it, utensils with it, then I would suggest that you either use glass or not plastic, because I'm not sure. It's a very strong solvent, and whatever it comes into contact with, it holds onto and it takes parts of that into it. Hence why when we use it in herbs, it's very effective. So, as I said before, it has a unique ability to dissolve a wide range of subjects or substances, and it facilitates the absorption straight into the bloodstream. Okay, so what are the benefits? It's a transdermal. Do you remember we were talking earlier on about the different types of applications and the ways that the body can use herbal remedies? Through the mouth, through the skin transdermally, in baths as soaks. So transdermally is through the skin, so it passes through the skin. That increases the therapeutic value of whatever it is that you are using it with. Now, when you're using it, you do not use it like we're making a soup or a porridge or a drink. You have to you use it in very small doses in proportion to the mass that you're using. So, for example, if I wanted a 10% dilution of DMSO in an essential oil, I would use 5 mils of DMSO to 50 mils of the essential oil mixture in total. Okay, that would give me a 10% dilation. So basically, as I said before, it increases the actual potency of the herbal poultice, and it allows the compounds to be absorbed efficiently. DMSO can amplify. Amplify means elevate or make it, whatever it is, spread further and have a better effect on the system. Okay, so the benefits are fast relief of muscle joint inflammation or skin irritation. Okay, pain relief and anti-inflammatory effects. The benefits of DMSO is that it's analgesic, which means it's pain relieving, and it's anti-inflammatory, and also it can complete the effects of herbs like arnica and comfrey. Fortunately, I'm going to be using comfrey today, and I have a comfrey formula that I use for with people who have arthritis, broken bones, damaged or torn tendons, torn muscle, or anything similar to that within the system. We don't use it on the skin, on broken skin, and we don't use it on cracked skin, okay? Okay, so how does it work? DMSO reduces the swelling and pain directly at the site of the application. When it's used with herbs that support tissue repair and regeneration, it accelerates the healing process by delivering the healing compounds directly to the area of injury. Okay, so in that respects, the benefits is that it can draw out toxins from the body, and when it's used in conjunction with herbal poultices that support detoxification, such as burdock, red clover, or cleavers, it can help promote removal of harmful substances. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a poultice, but I'm going to, what am I going to do first? Poultice? No, you know what? I'm going to, so that was just the DMSO explanation, all right? So keep that in the back of your minds. I just needed to highlight that because it's a very potent substance. And this is the DMSO. Normally when the DMSO gets cold, it has that kind of milky, if you can see, can you see that milky effect on it? Right, so it has a milky effect to it. But when it's at room temperature or warm, it's clear like water, all right? And it's always kept in a dark glass and kept in a cool, dark place for safety. And most definitely it's kept away from children. And when I say children, I mean like from 13 years old below, okay? Because we don't want children experimenting with things that they that can be either abuse or cause harm to them. Right, so what I'm going to do at this moment in time is I'm going to do something called mucus formula, which helps to break up mucus from the chest. And I'm going to use 3 herbs. The first one I'm going to use is your favorite. Everybody's been asking for cayenne. So we're going to use some cayenne pepper. We're going to use some fenugreek. And we're going to use mullein leaf. Okay. Okay, so mullein leaf. The properties of mullein leaf is it's a demulcent, it's an expectorant, and it's also anti-inflammatory. So that makes it absolutely perfect for the use that we're going to use it for. The active compounds in it are, it's a mucilage. A mucilage means that it's mucousy. So it gets into the tissue and it causes things to actually, move easier. It contains saponins and flavonoids. Okay, so again, flavonoid is a compound which is like an antioxidant, and which the body needs in general. And many of our foods and fruits that we spoke about earlier on this week, they contain flavonoids. Okay, so the mechanical action of mullein leaf, it soothes irritated mucous membranes in the respiratory tract due to its mucilage content. It also acts as an expectorant. An expectorant is so you can spit it out. Whenever we do cough and we have that buildup of mucus in the throat, many times we find ourselves not spitting it out, but re-swallowing it back into the gut to be released through the system. It is always good to get it out of the system completely. It has anti-inflammatory properties. It reduces swelling in the airways and it improves airflow. So you can imagine using something like DMSO with something like mullein leaf, those powers or those potencies are going to be exuded. Cayenne pepper. What is cayenne pepper? It's warming. It's a stimulant. We know that it's a stimulant for the circulatory system, and we know that basically it helps the blood to move smoothly, or to flow smoothly. It contains capsicum, carotenoids, which is the reason for its red color. And again, it also contains flavonoids. Now, remember I said to you that nature is beautiful because nature has loads of foods that have similar compounds, like the flavonoids, but they also have varying different compounds which can be used for other things, but they all have some sort of overlapping support on each other. Fenugreek. Has everybody heard of fenugreek? Okay. So fenugreek, Trigonella, Phonum gracium or grassicum. This is a herb, and it is also a demulcent and an expectorant and an inflammatory, anti-inflammatory. Its active compounds are again mucilage, saponins, alkaloids, and also flavonoids. So you notice that it's got an extra property in it that can be used for support. Its mechanism is that it's a mucilage. It soothes and coats the respiratory tract, reducing irritation caused by coughing. It's an expectorant, so it helps to thin and loosen mucus, and it's easier for you to expel it. Its anti-inflammatory effects complement those of the mullein leaf in the mucous membranes. So, mullein and fenugreek are rich in saponins and mucilages, and they work together to thin and break down the mucous membrane or make mucus forming in the system and eases the expulsion from the system. All right. The cayenne pepper will react with it by enhancing the circulation in the system, enhancing the mucus clearance, which is more efficient. It has a soothing effect on the tissue, and it has a decongestion effect, and it's very warming. Cayenne pepper promotes circulation and provides internal warmth, counteracting the stagnant and dampness that often causes mucus buildup. So we have something there called a synergistic effect. Synergy means that all things work together for, okay, nature branding. So I am going to, I'm gonna hit my bow. As a matter of fact, I want to get someone to help me. Can I get to help me? Yes, young lady, yeah, with the star shaped. Okay. So you're going to open this for me. You're just going to cut along the top, just along there, from there. And, not with a spoon, but what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use one of these. I don't know if anybody's seen one of these before. You put your herbs inside there, you close it up. The herbs are inside there. It's like a sieve, and you put it in your cup of tea, and then when you put it in your cup of hot water, then basically the herbs diffuse through the holes, and then basically you have your tea. So you can swirl it around, and then whatever. I don't have a spoon. It's I'm not even sure what it's called. I'm not sure what it's called, but I'd call it a diffuser. Yeah, I call it a diffuser, a sieve type diffuser. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few. One, two, three. Five scoops of mullein leaf. Very much. I do have a coffee grinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the coffee grinder and I'm going to put the mullen leaf in there with my fenugreek and my cayenne pepper. Okay, and I'm going to blend them all together so that they become a fine powdered mix. Okay. Give me 1 moment. Oh, great stuff. Thank you. So what we're going to do is so I'm going to eyeball this because I know roughly how much I need to put in. But you're not going to eyeball it. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it 1 part cayenne, 1 part fenugreek, and then you're going to do 2 or 3 parts mullen leaf. Okay. One part cayenne, 1 part fenugreek, and 1 part, and sorry, 2 or 3 parts mullen leaf. So plug it in, and then you're gonna zoom, right? So do that until it turns into a powder. It's gonna mask up the top, but so while she's mixing that up, okay. You can shake it a little as well while you're doing it, and then zoom while you're shaking. Yeah. Or is it? Yeah, that looks so good. That looks kind of okay. Let me put some more. Yes, I'm gonna put fenugreek in there now. So that's the fenugreek. Yeah, fenugreek, so fenugreek, cayenne, and mullen. Okay. 1 part cayenne, 1 part fenugreek, and 2 parts or 3. I don't have to. I know I'm gonna have to say it again. 2 or 3 parts mullen leaf. Okay. If you come down to the front to ask the question. Okay. Does everybody know what has anybody ever seen one of these?
Yes.
Okay. Right. So this is it's a capsule making machine. So basically what you'll do is you'll use your capsules. This one is for capsules which are for the size of 0 capsules. Okay. So or 0 capsules. So the sizes that you have are 1, which are quite small, 0, which are slightly bigger, and 0, which are bigger still. Okay. I don't ever use anything more than that. Okay. So what you're going to do for me now is, let me get those two glasses.
Brother Richard,
Hello.
my question, I didn't see if you were using vinaigrette seeds or powder.
Powder. So the reason why I asked her to demonstrate that is because we put everything inside this. So even if you're using the seed or the powder, all right, let me say it like this. Even if I'm using the seeds or the powder, I still put them all in here to mix and blend them up. Because if I mix and blend them up in the bowl, then I'm going to have pockets of areas where there's no pepper or there's no cayenne, there's no pepper or there's no fenugreek and so on. But there's going to be lots of mullein, but I want it to be blended up sufficiently.
Use the seeds, it's still one.
Well, you're going to be. Well, I would use one part. Because the seeds are going to take up more space in the spoon, then I would blend the seeds down and then use 1 level tablespoon or 1 heaped tablespoon. Your part is going to be whatever it is. So if it's 1 handful, 1 part. If it's 1 hatful, it's 1 part. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have to use your hand, then it's 1 part. So 1 part, and whatever it is you need to actually, what you need to use. Okay. So what we're going to do with this, your name again is? Tanya. Okay. So what Tanya is going to do for me is, Tanya is going to, where are you? Right under my nose. Yes. Where are the gloves now? Where did I put the gloves? Thank you very much. I've got the gloves on, so I'm thinking to myself. Sorry?
I wanted to add something.
You want to add something? Sure.
I think another thing that I was just gonna say, another thing that is really important if we're going to be working with DMSO is that it can be very dangerous if you touch it with anything. So if you touch bleach or if you're on medication, because I had a client who was on medication, and because their medicine had side effects, the DMSO made it even worse. So if you're on medication or you're going to be touching other chemicals, you need to be very, very careful. DMSO is not something to play with. It's very, very important.
We wouldn't hear that on Zoom because you're not, we got to be straight down.
So what was being said was that DMSO, in addition to what I said about being very careful with DMSO, is my sister Miriam was saying that DMSO is very potent. You have to be very, very careful when you're using it. If you're using something like bleach or you're touching other substances, and then although you might be touching the outside of the substances, the chemical residue in the atmosphere might rest on the outside of those containers. And then when you touch that with your hands or your handle DMSO, it takes it straight away from your hands and transfers it to the mixture, which then goes into you. And if you're handling something that is damaging to the cells, if it ever came into contact with the cells, then that would be problematic. Oh, it's okay, because you're going to do the rest. Going to do the rest. So what Tanya's going to do for me is Tanya's going to open up these capsules. So she's going to show you the capsules. So those are the size of the capsules, and she's going to empty the capsules into the first tray, which is going to automatically direct it into these holes. So it doesn't take long. What I used to do is I used to sit down there and plant them one, until I got to 99/100. And by then I read the instructions. We don't read instructions as a people. And all you do is you pour the capsules in here, and then you shake, and then they all find their own home. Is that clear? Okay. So I'm doing it, I'm asking the young ladies to do it. Make sure that they don't fall over there. So empty out Huntington. Yeah. So put your fingers. 1 second, release. Put your hand here so that it acts as a gate, and then we're just going to shake. Yeah. And then after a while, we'll see it start to disappear. So as she's shaking, the capsules are finding their homes, and there's less. So you can shake it a bit more to it. It goes all the way over. Okay. Okay, mommy. So we'll leave that one down there. Oh, no, okay. Oh, no. That's okay. I don't supervision. Put it over the bowl and tilt it slightly to the left. Sun table. So when you do that, you're gonna hold it like you're holding it like this. Okay, so your hand is holding the thumb and underneath, and then here, and then you're just shaking. Okay, put the rest of them in there. And then when you get down to the last few, you can look through to see that all of them are filled. And if there are a few, then you can just use your hand, and then you or your utensils. I usually use little calipers. And then basically, let's see what's there now. Sorry. Okay. Right, so take out the ones that are standing up here and put them aside here for me. And what you can do is you can hold it up to the light and you can see how many of them. That's 98, 97, 96. So there's only 3 left that's out. So that was a very good job. So I'm going to find the ones that are missing. So there's one there. And what I've done with the capsules prior to this is I've separated them. Oh, take my finger. I've separated them from the top of the capsule, which is the short bit, from the long bit, and I've put them into containers. So normally when I buy a packet of 1,000, then basically I have to sit there and then pick them all apart and put them
Do they all go the right way out?
Sorry?
Do they all go the right way out when you shake them?
Yes, because they're weighted.
Oh,
So although they're capsules,
yeah.
they weigh less than 0.0 something, but at the bottom of the capsule, it's actually weighted so that as it goes to over the aperture, it falls bottom first. So let's have a look. So in the light, can you see the light? It's like a honeycomb, so you can't see any black spots. So I don't know if you can see from there. You might be able to see, but then there aren't any. You might find a couple of them that are upside down. Okay.
This that one, you can see it's something in there.
Yeah, this one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's falling in the wrong way around. So
Yeah,
I can see
yeah.
that and I can make that change. So all in all, once you get used to doing it, you can do it in a couple of seconds. So to get that one out, just press down gently. And then, all right. So put that one there, to that side, and this one in there. Right. So this one there. Hold for a second. So you can see now can you see now all the capsules are in? Okay, so all the capsules are set for the base. Okay. Now we have two other shapes. One is for the small lid, and this one is a guide for it. So we're going to put, or a holder, I should say. So we're going to put the lid on top, and then we're going to put this back on. This is the guide. And now what we're going to do is we're going to, this one's a bit more trickier, but it is possible for even youngsters to do it. And when I pour it over so that when they hit, some of them will automatically just find their base. And then I pour a bit more than I need. And the same rules apply. Don't separate the base from the bottom. Okay. So relax. Make sure your hand is flat down there. You see how it's separated from you. Let go for a second. Okay, because what you're doing is you're holding in between. If you're holding in between between here and not the base, it's gonna fall apart and you're gonna lose everything, okay? So you hold on to the base like so, and at the top like so, and then you use your thumb and place your thumb, sorry, you place your thumb at the top as a gate to stop the capsule from falling out, and then basically you just shake. Sure.
Why is that there? You don't, it's a gate.
Yeah, it's a gate because what happens is, I'll show you just now. Right, so I've got most of the capsule in. With the caps, they do take some time, but then what I can do here is I can just slide them down there like that. Okay. But I've been doing it for a while, so I kind of like know where they're gonna fall, rather than someone that just goes choo, and falls it up and tips it over. So now that I've got most of my capsules in, I can take this off, and then the ones that are not the right way around, if you help me, just turn the ones that need to be turned the right way around. And then that's our capsules encapsulated. And then we will, once we're happy with that, we'll add this, which is a sealer, to the top of it, and holds it in place.
You haven't put the powder yet, have you?
We don't want it to go through the loose holes. Okay, so, all right. So, okay, so everything is in place. Put that on, take this off, and put this to the side. Okay, I put this on the side on top of it to hold it into place so I don't lose anything. And then I have this guide, which I put on top of the capsules. And then we're going to add the contents just to here. It doesn't matter where, you just add it to it. Okay, so you can pour that onto there. Yeah. Not moving it, just not with your hands, just to pour it out. Is there more in there? Yeah, just with your hand. Okay. So what I can do with this now, so I'm using the knife to just chop across the board to put all of the capsules in there. I've got a card utensil which came with it, but so now that I've got the herbs on here, what I'm doing is I'm just moving this across to get into the actual capsules. All right. You can shake it, but then what I'm going to do in a moment, same rule applies. This is probably the longest part of the whole process. Yeah, if you drop it, it goes. You can lose a lot of it, but it's not a problem because if you're doing it over a tray like I normally do when I'm at home, and I have dropped it a couple of times, but luckily it dropped onto the tray, so I just started all over again. But that was in my early days. And then what I do is I take this and I take it and I press down the herbs that are already there to compact it down. And then I can do the shake again. It's good exercise. And when you do get the machine, ensure that when the capsules go in, they are flush with the surface, because if they're not, then you'll end up with herbs falling through the gaps. All right, so with this one, it seems as though the actual the screws are allowing the herbs to sit just a little bit higher than the actual surface. All right, so I think that's good enough. So what I'm going to do now, now that I've got that together there, what you're going to do now is the lid that we've got here. You can see the back of it. You see the shiny? Those are the capsules. All I'm going to do is turn this upside down and line up the holes. And then what you're going to do, my dear. So once it's all lined up, make sure it's lined up. And then you're going to press down from the top. Press down from right. Press down again from using top to bottom. And from top to bottom. Yeah. So just like how you've done there. Use the palms of your hands. And press. You hear that click? Once you hear the click, then you know that all of the capsules are now in place. All right. Okay. Now this is the fun bit that I do not like. You're going to take your spatula and you're going to place it on top. And this bit is all right. And it's just going to sit on top. Don't press down, just let it sit over the holes. Okay, and then you're going to lift up the blue plate from beneath. This blue plate here, you can lift that up on some. Yeah, and the top will come a bit. Lift. Okay, perfect. And you have your completed capsules. Okay, I'm going to complete capsules. It's a very good job, Tanya. So now the job is to get the capsules from the tray into a bowl or into a container. So, let me know. Looks like I'm going to have something I haven't. Okay, so we're going to have to do it the hard way. So, right, so I'm going to take the capsules and all I'm going to do is from the bottom, I'm going to just pop them out. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So from there to there, to there, to there. And I'm just running my fingers along the bottom so that they systematically drop out into the container. Question? No. The only way they're going to uncapsule is if they're not on in the first place, or if the machine is faulty, and then as they go together, the edges of them click each other and then they break. And then when you pull up the lid, you'll see that they're problematic. Okay. Okay, so mucus buster, 100 capsules, cold, flu, chest infection, nasal infection, cayenne pepper, mullein leaf, and fenugreek. So that's your capsules completed, all right? How many do you take? So when you're taking them, depending on how bad your situation is, you can take 2 or 3 twice a day, or if it's a case where you just want to take 4 one time, then you'll find your own limit or your own maximum. Because you're using herbs, they're not drugs, so you don't have to worry about ODing or, oh my gosh, don't treat herbs like drugs because you'll be disappointed. When it comes to healing, your body is different from my sister's body. My body is different from yours. The difference is our body will take its own time. Okay, so you can take, I'd say start off with 2 a day and then build up the next day 3, the next day 4. And then when you feel like, oh, then you can stay at 4 or go back 1. And then that's how you try take or cut back on your limit. Sister? They dissolve, they're vegan. They're vegan capsules. So when they break down, the other capsules that they used to have were glycerin and bovine and other plastics that dissolve and break down. So basically we tried to avoid those and we used this vegan capsules. Sis?
Children, how would you like the use this in children? Because I was just wondering in terms of herbs, how do you?
If you're breastfeeding, then you would take the capsule and then your child would get it through your milk. With children, most times, children under the age of like 2 and 3, you wouldn't really use herbal medicines with them because their bodies are still developing and their bodies are a lot stronger than what you can imagine. When children are sick, do they eat or do they? I'm not hungry. They leave. They tell you to leave them. Would I be correct? You've got children. Yeah. I'm taking the slow as a confirmed yes. Anybody else as a parent when your children are sick? Do they want to eat or do they just want to rest? So the worst case scenario, they might drink something, but most of the time they're miserable and just want to rest. So the same goes for us, I suppose. We take them in doses, and then we up the dose accordingly. All right. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do is the or next thing you're going to do for me is the onion and honey cough syrup, because now that we're coming into, I'm going to add a little twist to the honey and what is it?
Oh. Right. Me again. How would you use the mucus formula with the DMSO if you want to use it externally?
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't, because I know people that I've given this to who have bronchial asthma and they've had it for years, and then after they've used this, no bronchial asthma, but they've been on medication for eons. So when you introduce them to this, you've got to remember that the chemicals that you would use or the drugs that you would use, they're quite potent, but they don't ask the body, can I come in? They come in and they kick the door down, they're there, close the door behind them, and then they do their action, and you have to go with it. So I wouldn't use DMSO when you put something like that.
Would you do it externally?
No, these are capsules that I would take internally.
Okay.
So no, I wouldn't. So you wouldn't put them externally. If you wanted to put them as a kind of like a mix it with what do you call it? Castor oil, and then rub it over the chest, and then put like one of those herbal plasters over it with a hot water bottle on your chest. Then you can do, and then that would also work. But to tell you the truth, this is the best way, especially if you have a head cold, and if you have like a chest cold. You take it. It takes time, but when it works, hey, nature is slow but sure. Okay, that's cool. Does everybody know what one of these are?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many of you have used one? Okay, what do you use them for? To crush garlic. Yeah.
If you don't have how to make, you don't have the equipment to make the capsules, what would be the dosage?
Okay, so if you didn't have the capsules for each of those, because each of those capsules are about 5, maybe 10 ml. Okay, so are you saying if you didn't have the machine to do it, or
so
if you just had the capsules?
just make it and put it in a pot, for example. How do you say? Can you?
Oh yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can take a teaspoon, like a quarter teaspoon, and make a tea and drink the tea. So yeah, and if you wanted to add honey to it and mix it up so that it's not so that the cayenne pepper is not so zzz on your mouth. Do you understand what I say when I go zzz? Right, okay, so you know we speak in sounds and we speak with our hands, right? So body language and English, those are the two languages I speak. So yeah, so the honey will take away the actual edge from it. Right, so Tanya, what we're gonna do now is, Mummy, is it all right for Tanya to handle a knife? She's not gonna lose it and come at me, is she? Are you? Good girl. Right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we have an onion and we have what's the container? We have a container and we have honey. And we have honey. We have honey. Honey. Okay. So while I talk her through this, I'm going to read out some information about the actual process that happens in your system when we cut, from the time that we cut the onion until the time that we mix the onion, and from the time that we actually impart it and use it in our system. So you're going to peel that off if you can. Okay.
Just another question. Is there any contraindications for the?
I'm going to go through contraindications for the previous one. The mucus, contraindications. If you're on medication, if you're taking medication for colds and flu, cayenne pepper, you've got to remember that these are foods. And also, I mean, there are some herbs that if you are on medication, that you should be seeking advice from your natural herbalist or from your doctor, whether or not these are going to cause problems at all, okay? So with the cayenne pepper, I mean, if you're on blood thinners, obviously, those of you that know cayenne pepper is a blood thinner and it's a stimulant, then that's going to be an issue. With the fenugreek, I don't know of any issues that are going to be associated with that. And the mullein leaf is the demulcent. So the only thing really in that mixture would be the cayenne pepper, which would be the most powerful or the most potent one in it. Mullein leaf, no, they're safe to use for people. I mean, even if you make mullein leaf tea, then the child can have mullein leaf tea if she's got like the snivels type thing. But then again, that's down to the parent to seek advice before she does that. You know what I mean? Because nowadays we don't make children like how we used to. Children back in the day, you could throw them off the top of a cliff and then bounce and walk, get up and walk. Children nowadays, they have so many allergies. They have so many things that can cause issues with them. Simple foods like oranges, bananas, as a matter of fact, quite a few natural foods, they have allergies to them. But they can drink Coke, they can drink hard drinks, they can drink all of these foods, cereals that have all of these E's in it, and they're quite okay. So the thing is that always test before as well when you're gonna take one of these. So what I would say is to pop one open, put it on your tongue, put it on your mouth, on the side of your mouth, and touch yourself your mouth with it to see if there's any reaction. All right. Okay. So what you're gonna do for me with that one is on this tissue, you're going to take the knife and you're going to cut it in half. Yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to, I think, yeah, you're going to cut it, not in the middle, you're going to slice it into like little crisps. Okay, yeah. Okay, so what she's doing right now is she's cutting this for me. And let me just go. Yeah. And this one is for the honey mixture. Sorry, bear with me one moment because I pulled off some information. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. While I'm doing this, does anybody have any questions? No?
The DMSO.
When I'm ready. I'm going to use it when I do the poultice. I have a poultice for what do you call it? I have a poultice which is already, I have a herbal mixture which is already made up, and I'm going to add that to a bowl, and then I'm going to make that into a poultice and then apply that. Well, okay, beautiful. Can you do that one as well for me?
The pots and stuff in the video.
Okay. Does everybody have a first aid kit at home? What's in your first aid kit? Plasters, bandages, scissors. Somebody's jumping ahead, but they haven't made the first aid kit doesn't contain it yet, or if it does now. Sorry, did I hear? So you have that in your first aid kit? Yeah? Okay. Right. So if you are going to do a herbal first aid kit, what I've done with mine is I've got the standard bits and pieces in there, but what I've done is I've got comfrey oil, and I've put echinacea in there, and calendula, and then also I have this other herb called Vibegon, which is virus. It's an antiviral we call it tincture. Okay, V-I-B gone. Okay, it's from Herb Pharmacy. Herb Pharmacy are a very good pharmacy. So basically, and also I have charcoal, and I also have that's in my box. Okay, and I have a small vial of charcoal in a little box. It seems to have disappeared. So in the first aid box, I've got comfrey oil, anti-inflammatory. I've also got echinacea, which is like we use for colds and flus. I've got an antiviral drops called Vibegon. So if you get a bite, or you get a cut, or you get something on the outside, because this is for if you're if you're out and about and you end up cutting yourself, then Vibegon is antiviral. So you've also got antibacterial and anti-inflammatory, and you've got calendula as well. Okay. Put that one there. Right. So what we're going to do with the onion is, now that it's been sat for a little while, it's releasing something called allicin. Okay. So with our container, I'm going to pop that open. So what I did with the container, and something that you can do as well, is if you buy one of these are diffusers. Yeah. It somehow fits perfectly in your mason jars, standardized mason jars. You can put your herbs in this, put the lid on it, put your drinks in there, and leave it to diffuse. Okay. So that does away with sometimes using cups and glasses and stuff that you don't want to break or whatever. So what you're going to do is you're going to take cut off the edges, cut off the tops for me. Yeah. So the other one's all right. So you're going to take a few of them, and you're going to drop them. As a matter of, before you take a few of them, you're going to put a layer of honey on the base. It might not be open, so we need to. Yes, mommy. So we put the honey at the base. Always use a knife away from you. And lid. Yeah. And you're going to put a nice squidgy at the bottom so that it mixes. That's it. That's cool. That's good. That's good. Stop. That's fine. So that's probably a good amount. And then what you're gonna do, what you're gonna do is you're gonna put some onions on some a few, yeah. Okay. Shake it around so it lies flat because we want to cover it again with not shake too much. Okay, because what you can do, you can dice it up. Okay, but normally what I do is I cut them in like round slices and then lay them down so that they're layered. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Put a little honey just on top of it. And yeah, so you're gonna layer it now with some honey. Bit more. I like this caution. All right. So so you're gonna shake it a little just to make sure it's covered. And then you're gonna put some more and you're gonna keep doing that until we've used up all of the onions. So make sure it's nicely covered. That's fine. You don't need to use your fingers. You can just drop them. Question from, yes. Oh, okay, mommy. Cool.
Is it really you relevant benefits to doing it?
Well, because I want, yeah, because okay, so whenever I do things or when we were taught to do things, we were always taught that whenever you're preparing food, you're doing a therapy. If you're angry and you're preparing food, to me that doesn't make sense because there's no love, there's no attention, there's no effort into your food. So if you're going to do something like this or whatever, the reason why we do the honey first is because we want to create a layer and then we want to put down the honey and then another layer because we want between the honey we want layers. You could just shove it in there and just leave it and let it go, but we want to do it in a leveled way. So you can pour the honey on now. Question?
And then getting the same thing if I add garlic and ginger.
Yes. Because normally what I do is at the end of this, I take a garlic, I crush it, I wait till I'm finished, I crush the garlic, and then when I'm finished doing this, the garlic has released all of its allicin, and then I just drop it in the top. And then when the honey acts as a solvent, and honey draws moisture to it. So as the honey draws all of those antimicrobial properties and all of those flavonoids out from the onion into it, then you end up with a medicinal syrup. Okay. Hello. Yep. Go ahead. Right. So the honey that I bought here was Manuka. It's Manuka 15%, Manuka, and it's got vitamin C in it. You can use regular honey, but for me, the rule on using honey is when you're buying honey, if you can get local honey, that is the best honey to get, local honey, i.e. honey that's been made in the area that you live. If you're buying honey from Australia, from South Africa, from New Zealand, from America, the honey and the bees that create the honey, they created the honey with the properties to protect the people who live in those areas. If you're not living in the same areas of them, then it doesn't have exactly the same support for you. But if I live in North London, where like a friend of mine lives in North West London, and he keeps honey and he has his own honey bees. So if I get honey from him in a pot. I get honey from him in a pot. Okay, so the honey that I get from him is the honey from our locality. So the environmental negatives that would affect the bees, that affect me, the bees create antigens and stuff to protect themselves, and I can benefit from that also. So I always use that. But if I'm going to use a honey, then I use Manuka honey. And then basically, now that we've done that, what we can do is give it a little shake now. Tap, tap. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Yeah, that's good. Question?
So is there a case where local honey is better than the Manuka one then?
Well, no, the Manuka one has properties in it which most honeys don't have. But if you're going to buy regular honey, what I'm saying is that rather than buying regular honey that comes from all of these countries, because it sounds really nice and exotic getting South African honey, getting Australian honey, New Zealand honey or whatever. But the fact is that the properties in there, you're in the UK. The bees that made the honey are in those countries. So they're not subject to the conditions that you are experiencing.
I've been told that the bees in Britain are 3 months in the winter fed on sugar.
3 months in the sugar, 3 months in the winter. Sugar. Okay, so
So we've been told get it from a top country.
get it from another country. So I would question the source. I would question the source on that. Yeah, I would question the source on that because at the end of the day, put it like this. If what I've explained doesn't kind of resonate, then yeah, use the honey, because honey, if you look at honey as honey, then fine, that's not a problem. We pray over our things, and basically, if it's a case where we can't afford to buy local honey, because the price might be different, then you pray over it, and when you use it with the expectation that.
But if you know the people who do it, you know it's a local version of bees. It's these brands.
Yeah.
Brands.
Yes, definitely, because
Decided to feed them on sugar and it's like,
right. I forgot what I was going to say now. Sorry.
if you know local person who keeps bees, that's the best.
Yeah. So we're going to leave that like this for the time being, and then after about a couple of hours, it might even be before that, this will start to water down. Why is it watering down? Because the honey is acting as a solvent and it's drawing all the moisture and all of the compounds out of the honey into this. If you want to, once and this will shrink in size, the honey will shrink in size. Not the honey, sorry, the onions will shrink in size. Sorry? Yeah. So once it's done, what you can do is you can take out the honey, remove the honey's particles, the onion particles, and then you can add more onions into it or garlic into it, and then take the garlic out afterwards. Fine. Okay, so that's the honey.
Can I use the garlic?
Which one?
The one you said how from the honey.
No, of course you can use them. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
There's no any benefits after.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can use them. That won't be a problem at all. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a poultice. Oh, the honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. With the honey, when you're going to use the honey, what you're going to do is you're going to use a tablespoon. When you take it, you're going to take it and put it under your tongue. You're going to keep it in your mouth for as long as possible before you swallow it. Reason why is because you want it to be subliminally digested first under the tongue, and then basically when you swallow it, your saliva has already mixed with it and made it pre-digested. Do you know what happens when you bump your teeth together in terms of the digestion process? Okay, so everybody close your lips or your mouth. I find that very difficult sometimes, but and use the tip of your tongue and trace from back left to right in your mouth. Gently, very gently, just trace ever so gently across the top. Do you feel your gums releasing water? Yeah. So you're just by touching ever so gently along the top of your teeth. Your teeth are sensors. They are very fine, tender sensors. They're like the jaws of a crocodile or the jaws of a shark. Even though they're sharp, they can handle things very gently. Just touch and then they know. So what you're doing is you're stimulating the receptors in your gums and you're telling your gums food is coming. And then one second. And then once your gums have registered that, your gums start to release the saliva and the digestive enzymes, mixing with the honey, and then basically allowing you to.
I was just wondering, people have false teeth, that.
Okay, so that's not going to work for false teeth. But the gums. That's right.
You know, it's not good.
Yeah, the teeth is not going to pick it up because it's not there, but the gums the gums will be affected because even if you bump your gums together, then the glands are in the gums, they're not in the teeth. But the teeth, when they're in place, they're like light bulbs. They have sensors. So the teeth will act as the receptor. If you don't have the tooth, then the gums are still functioning. Yeah. Okay. Right. You all right? Okay. So what I'm going to quickly do is we're going to do a poultice. And we're gonna mix the poultice. I don't know if I'm gonna apply it to anybody. Is there anybody here that has any joint issues or issues that might, yeah? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a poultice, and what I have here is a herbal mixture, which is bone, flesh, and cartilage. It has comfrey. Just like this one. Sorry. I don't know, so I've got the ingredients written down here. Okay, so the herbs that I've got in here, I don't take it out completely because I want it to stay in there. We just need to open it. Right, oak bark. You've heard about oak bark this morning and a couple of days ago. Sure.
I read somewhere that
You read somewhere that
you should mix garlic and onion because of the effect on the food.
you shouldn't mix garlic with onion because of the effects on the blood.
Yeah, the food.
Oh, on the mood.
Because of the sulfate.
Well, the sulfate that's in the onion, they mix together and they form a compound. I'm not sure what, I've not heard that before, but if it's a case where you have any doubt about using any combination, because there are some herbs that you shouldn't mix with each other because that's counterproductive, i.e. you're not going to mix a stimulant with valerian, because valerian is going to be trying to arrest you, the stimulant is going to be trying to race you. So in terms of mixing herbs, you have to understand the properties of the herbs, just like how we spoke about the human constitution. Some people are hot, some people are cold, some people are dry, some people are moist. So you wouldn't give somebody who's hot a herb that's going to heat them up because it would be counterproductive for them. They're already a hot type thing. So
You know, you mentioned
comfrey, yes.
abundance of it in my area.
Okay.
So I've read that it's okay to use it.
Well, in America it's banned. In America they've banned it. And in the UK, I'm not sure, I don't think they've banned it because I get my comfrey, I bought my comfrey from the US and I buy comfrey from Baldwin's. So at the end of the day, I mean, like, I haven't had anything. There is something about comfrey interfering with the gut, or not the gut, sorry, the liver. So they say not to drink comfrey at all. But that's, I think that's mainly because they can't regulate how much comfrey a person will drink. And it's a bit like the nutmeg issue when people abuse it and they realize, oh, this is many of the foods that we eat, if you abuse them, they will cause harm to you. I know I had one in a pot and it was beautiful. Yeah, nice died that. Yes. Yeah, definitely. But yes, so some countries have banned comfrey. Comfrey's other name is, does anybody know? Nip bone. Yes. Yeah. So basically, the reason why they call it nip bone is because if you have a broken bone and you apply it to the bone, to the area, your bone heals. Once your bone is healed, one, it heals it quicker. Two, it's a tissue regenerator. Three, it's a cell regenerator, prolific. So it speeds up healing, and it's anti-inflammatory, and basically it's probably one of the best healers that you could use for support in as a healing mechanism. But go ahead. Okay.
I applied that over a period of time and it actually made
So, yeah, but I'm not surprised. Just as an example, a friend of mine a friend of mine from church tore his Achilles tendon. And basically he's been laid up for a while and he hasn't been able to walk. And basically he was basically trying to heal from it, and it was a very slow healing process. So what I did is I mixed up some of this for him, and I made it in. I got him to make it into a poultice, and then to apply it with castor oil. I didn't tell them to use the DMSO, but I knew this would be enough. Within a week, he contacted me and he said to me, I don't know what that was that you gave me, but since I used it, my actual Achilles feels a lot better. So he told me that he now walks the dog twice as far as he normally did the week before. So it does work. Herbs work. You just have to give them the time, and you have to thank God for them, and be thankful that when you use them, expect them to work. Okay. Right. So let me take. I've got a spoon. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to do this one so you have that phone. I'm just going to take some of this herbal formula, and I'm going to put it in a bowl. Okay. So let me tell you what the ingredients are again. So it's comfrey leaves, marshmallow roots, mullein, walnut bark, gravel roots, wormwood, and lobelia, and skullcap. Okay, so those are. I'll write. I'll put it in the. Is there a chat?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put the actual ingredients in the chat. Okay. So what I'm gonna with regards to the comfrey, how it works with DMSO, it's going to penetrate the oak bark's active compounds, the tannins, and it's going to pull the actual tannins and the compounds into the tissue. But all of the herbs that I've listed, they all are going to work synergistically together to propagate healing. Okay, so I've got the herbs there. I'm going to be using instead of, I could use a little water to make a paste. So I've got some distilled water. Hopefully it's still warm. Oh, it's cool. Right. What I found really useful was my wife got me one of these cups for my birthday, and on the cup, when you touch it, it tells you how hot the actual water is, the beverage is inside it. Okay. Now, in most cultures, I find it's only in the West cultures that we have tea handles on our cups, and we drink the tea like lava, and we try to drink the tea down while it's hot. But in some cultures, they don't have handles. So if the utensil that they're using is too hot to handle, that means that it's too hot to drink. Some people like their teas blistering hot. One, that's not good for the digestive system. Two, if your drink is too cold, you slow down all of the functions, all the enzymatic processes in your gut. You're supposed to drink drinks at room temperature, slightly chilled, or body temperature warm, or hot, but hot as you can bear. So everybody might be different, but if you swallow that tea and it's too hot, it can have an effect on your digestive system. So what I'm going to do is,
what would we call standard room temperature?
in this room
I
now,
don't know what the best, because there are some temperature, you go to some places is very low, and if we say just room temperature, that would mean any temperature, isn't it?
No,
Within.
room temperature.
Is there, you know,
Okay, so you're in this room. Are you sweating?
no, I'm not sweating,
Are you cold?
I'm not cold.
Okay, with your right hand, feel your left hand. Is that hot or is it cold or is it cool?
Cold is warm.
It's warm, it's always warm.
Yeah.
Okay, so room temperature for you is good. This is the ambient room temperature. So there's no set rule on room temperature. Room temperature means that it's not hot and it's not freezing cold. Okay. That, I suppose that's the best way that I can explain it to you. Yeah, temperature, what temperature wise, it's not hot, it's not cold, it's palatable. Around 30 degrees. Body temperature, or just below room temperature. Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, so when we are mitigating, kind of room temperature acceptable to most skins, it's 22 degrees.
22 degrees.
So 22 degrees for a drink, that'd be, just be about 20. It's not warm enough, is it?
No, it's not warm.
Water.
A drink,
Okay, for a drink.
yeah, like tea, because you.
Okay, so so I didn't say to drink tea at room temperature. I'm saying that if you've got tea in a ceramic mug and you hold the mug and the mug's hot and you're drinking it, what I'm saying is that your tissue in your body, when you drink that tea and you swallow it and it's hot, it affects the digestive enzymes in your stomach and in your gut. If you drink the drink and it's too cold, your body has to now take energy away from its vital life force to warm up the water so that it can work with the water. If you drink water that's too cold, your body says to you, go to the gents, and you get rid of the water. How many of you drink water and you go to the bathroom within 5 minutes of drinking the water?
Yeah, used to happen here.
Okay, so the water that you're drinking was too cold for your body to, and your body said, get it out. And your body said, I can't wait for you to get it out, go to the gents. The hot water is the same. Your body will freeze. When I say freeze, I don't mean literally freeze, but it will affect the functions. Thank you. So I'm using some hot water to make a paste with the herbal formula. Okay, so this was a powder. And now it's becoming more of a paste. Okay, so while it's still kind of like, you know, when you're making dumplings or making the soft dough balls, it's beginning to look like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some castor oil. I'm just eyeballing it because I'm going to add about a teaspoon at the moment, because I added about a tablespoon originally to the of water to the paste. I'm going to add another teaspoon of castor oil. Okay, so now it's beginning to look like some sort of clay mix. You can add bentonite clay to this if you want to. Bentonite clay, there's a few types of clays. There's green clay, there's bentonite clay, and they both have healing properties. I want this to be kind of like gooey. So that's about 2.5 teaspoons of castor oil that I've added to it. I'm so tempted to pick it up on my hands and roll it up like I'm making the roll right now. Okay. Oh, right. So that will be roughly about about 3 teaspoons, say about a tablespoon. So first of all, I use the water. And then I use the oil. So as you can you see that?
Yeah.
So it's a bit kind of like gooey. And now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to add a splash. I say a splash, but you're going to measure it when you do it, or if you do it, you're going to measure it out. So I'm going to add half a lid of DMSO to the mixture. Okay. Okay. Oh. Now that I've done this, I'm not going to, I wouldn't say to anybody to consume this because this is topical. Okay, so you can see now, it's like it's like a gel. Let me just quickly go around the room to show you. Like a gel now.
You don't get it.
Sorry? I'm trying to show the camera. There you go, camera. Oh, sorry. All right. Right, so this is what that's looking like now. So this is the herbal formula and a splash of distilled water. We're going to talk about distilled water in a minute. I'll talk about that now. And then some castor oil and a splash of DMSO. So this is now already working on itself. Okay, so the DMSO is already working and putting on this. Okay.
They come to the.
Sorry?
They come to the.
Yes. It's in the formula. So this is the herbal powder mix. And I'm making I'm showing you what I'm showing you. It's used for if you have arthritis or if you have joint pain or if you have issues with broken bones. You put it on there, you wrap it around, bandage it around, you'll leave it on there overnight. Okay, or you leave it on there for until it dries out and it will replace it. All right. Okay.
You don't want me to?
No, I'm hoping with it, but I would like to be. You have a question?
Do you have to wash the face?
Well, this is what I was just about to ask. What is the first, but it was, we're gonna pass it to the. So basically, you wouldn't have an issue, but. But it's up to the individual. Okay. Right, so now the poultice is actually completed. What I would normally do is right, so I play table tennis, and sometimes when I play table tennis, my elbow and my wrist, because when I'm doing repetitive movements in the training session, the joints in my wrist sometimes ache because I flick my wrist too fast forward with the weight of the bat, and the bone clicks. And once or twice is not a problem, but sometimes when you exert too much force, it causes an issue, and sometimes I have an issue with that. So something like this, I would use the poultice, and I would place it all around this area here, okay, on the wrist. And then what I would do is I would take this bandage. I could do it two ways. Don't really wanna. So if I had a pad, 10 more minutes, cool. Pad like so. Scissors. Okay. Okay, so we have a pad. And where's the button? And on top of the pad, oh, yeah. Do I have a bowl? Right. You're gonna have to speak louder than that, though. Sorry, go ahead and you can go ahead and ask a question, my dear. You could go ahead and ask a question, because I'm trying to do this within a time event.
You can experiment on him.
Okay. Okay. Well, what is your health challenge? Is it like an ache, or is it a pain, or is it like a shooting pain, or is it like a dull pain, or is it like a? Well, in that instance, what I would like to do is to do a quick consultation with you first, and then whatever, because I don't want to do something that's going to cause an issue. Right, so I'm going to hold this in my hand, and I'm going to show you from here, because I'm not going to show it on anybody. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to place this over the pad in a nice thick paste, and already you can see the color of the herbs coming through. So this right now would be more than sufficient. And what I could do is I could put a splash of castor oil over that just to help it. But it should be perfectly fine like this. And then all I would do is I would place that over the area. And then I would use cling film over. No, I wouldn't do that. I put the pad on first, and then perfect. My assistant is giving me guidance and instructions perfectly. So she says for me to tell you that she would put the pad on her wrist, and then she would use the bandage and secure it in place. Once it's secured in place, then you would use the cling film to insulate it. And then whilst you're sleeping, what would happen to the herbs in the skin? My assistant says that it will go into the skin and it would help the bone or the tissue to heal. Okay, so all of the properties, is that correct, would actually start to pull itself into the tissue to execute healing. That is how you would do a poultice. Sorry, I could literally demo it to you, but I'm sure that you are all quite capable of applying this to the area in concern. And then, if you needed to, what you could do is surgical tape. Once you put this on, if it was too watery, you could use surgical tape around it to keep it in place. Then bandage around this, and then once you've bandaged around it, you apply the cling film. Now, when you apply the cling film, try to let as little as the cling film get in contact with your skin, if at all. So what you would do is you'd wrap around the whole area, and then allow the cling film to be on the actual gauze, on the bandage, rather than the tissue. Because we know cling film gives off chemicals that are not good for us. It's the same with all of the microwavable stuff. They all give off something. Probably not as much as they used to, but the fact is they give off something. So herbal poultice this is good for broken bones. This is good for arthritis, osteoarthritis, tears in ligaments, tears in muscles, anything to do with damaged tissue. This is going to be your perfect godsend. Okay. Nerve tissue. Oh, I just mentioned nerve tissue. Varicose veins, spider veins. If you make up a mixture of this, you can paint it onto your over the actual veins. This is rich in calcium. With varicose veins, you leave it on overnight. You can leave it on, I would say leave it on overnight, let the leg rest, then apply it again the next night. The varicose veins will soak up and you could drain out all of the minerals in this and then start to repair itself. Spider veins as well, just in case anybody says, what about spider veins? So Spider-Man, spider veins, varicose veins, it's perfect. Okay. So any last questions? Sister?
How long should you remain there?
Overnight. If you use it overnight, then you can leave it on. You can leave it on for more than for longer, but no more. I would say no more than 2 days, and then take it off. Let the leg breathe, and then reapply a new one. Okay. Some people do it one night, and then the next morning they remove it, and then they put a fresh one on, and then the next night, and so on, and they do that over a space of a week. So I mean, like, I'd put this in a glass container, and then I would keep this safe in the fridge, and then basically just reapply it as and when's needed. Okay. Well, if you're in a village, say if you're out, say you go back home and you make this up, okay. As long as you keep it in somewhere cool, put it in a ceramic container, not plastic. Either in a glass jar. Okay, pretend this is glass jar, and then secure the lid and keep it somewhere nice and cool. Okay, yeah, glass. It will last a long while. Sorry? Overnight. Oh, you could, if the glass is sealed, then you can leave it in the water overnight. Because the water is obviously cool, and then that would help to keep it. Cool. So that's a very good idea. Definitely, I like that. Did you all hear what she said? So what she said was that if she was in the village back home and she used comfrey, because you can use comfrey on its own. Okay, we just use that to speed up the healing and to make sure that the body gets everything. But if she used it in the village to keep it cool, she would keep it in a bowl of water. Somewhere cool and dark, so that the temperature and the ambient temperature of the room would keep it cool and not heat it up. Okay. One. One more question, yes.
I was asking if I don't have a so can it also be more than one well?
Oh, I just use the DMSO for cosmetics because I don't have blonde hair. So, the DMSO was an added extra potent support, and it gets into the tissue double time. So the minute you put it on your skin, it starts to work with your skin. Once your skin is moisturized and the DMSO comes into contact, boom, it's done. It starts to put it in. So I just use that for cosmetics, just to add to it. But if I needed to, like with my friend that had the Achilles, if I'd have thought about it, I would have said to him that. But I didn't need to because within a week he came to me and said to me, "What is that stuff that you put? Can I keep using it?" And I was like, "Yeah, keep using it." And he was very happy with it. And he has no concept about, he didn't even want to know what the herb was. He just said, "I know that you're going to give me something good, but just give me something, I'm good." And he was good. The phrase is, "I'm good." So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Lord, I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for your attention. And I thank God for his pharmacy, that we're able to use all of his garden tools to execute healing, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of all of these herbal pharmaceuticals that we can use for healing. And thank you very much for your time. Appreciate that. Brother, thank you so much. And I might, please, I need a printer though. Oh yeah, I can take that and you can get the stick for the DMSO and the actual formula.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, yeah. So we're just saying if we can make some of these notes available on the chat so you can keep the records for yourself.
Definitely. And thank you very much for my young person, Tanya, for supporting us. Our young people should be taught these as a basic. They can play computer games, they can go online, and they can log into MetTrader and do loads of things. They can solve problems and stuff. These things are life-saving. So just like I heard my brother mention this morning, when I was hitting around the corner, he said basically that you use the cayenne pepper, the effects of cayenne pepper on a heart attack. He's absolutely right. People have had their arms decapitated, and what their friends have been able to do for them is just take a handful of cayenne pepper and just put it all over the joints, both the joints. When the ambulance came, the ambulance said to them, "What the hell have you done?" Da, 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 da. When they got to the hospital, the surgeons had to do emergency operation, and they were dumbfounded to see how live and how fresh and how vibrant the tissue was. So they were able to do their operation. So now I can't remember which state it is, whether it's Chicago, but they actually include cayenne pepper as part of their emergency service. Right? Sorry? It does, definitely. It stops the bleeding as well. Okay, so thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
very much.
Saints. Time is moved. If you have any questions, you can see Brother Richards after this. Shall we just bow our heads, kneel and bow our heads where we are? And have a closing prayer. Heavenly Father, dear Lord, thank you for showing us the benefits. All these herbs that you have made them available for us. Thank you for giving us this knowledge of things that we pass by every day, things that we see every day. But today, dear Lord, you have educated us. So now, dear Lord, as we go back, and eventually we go back to our homes, may you help us to put these things into practice as we prepare for the crisis just up ahead. Bless those, dear Lord, who are traveling to come, and may you continue to be with us for the rest of the next service. In Jesus' name. Amen. Our next service, Saints, I think it is at 7 o'clock. So we need to be here by 7. If we are not, we are going to start and we will be going. And we will not repeat.
Sorry, can I just add something as well? Do all of you have these little mini hot water bottles? If you do, when you're using that poultice, when you're resting, you can fill this up with hot water, hot boiling water or whatever, and you can place it over the area that you're actually trying to heal. And then, and basically the heat will also help the herbs to be driven into the system. Okay, so thank you again.
Yes, yes. Yeah, just put it on.
Yeah.
Then I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my